Good evening and welcome to the Introduction to the Institute of Continuing Education session, which is the first of our Masters of Studies Open Week. I'm just going to wait for a minute or two just so that our different attendants can join us, and then we will kick off this session. So this week we'll be running a variety of online sessions which will take place every evening between now and Thursday of this week. And this will give you an opportunity to find out more about Masters of Study at the Institute of Continuing Education. There will be some course information sessions covering each course in our master's portfolio. These will take place from 6:30 to 7:15 p.m. And then these will be followed by a series of panel sessions from 7:30 p.m. With our students, our academics, and representatives from Cambridge colleges. And in addition to these live sessions, we will also have a number of video resources on our website that you can access, which will give you further information on such things like funding options, the application process, college matriculation, student support, or interview preparation. If ever you're not available to attend some of these sessions, you will find the recording on our website 24 hours after each event. The session this evening is being recorded. It will be shared on the Institute of Continuing Education YouTube channel, and we will also send out the recording to anyone who registered for this event after the session has finished, and this will be sent via email with a link that you can access. So links to events and resources will also be shared in the chat and sent via email after this session. Jim, over to you.
Thanks, Louisa. Good evening, everyone. It's actually morning for me. I'm dialing in from the West Coast of America. I hope that the Wi-Fi holds up okay, and I hope that my jet-lagged adult brain does as well. Someone actually wished me happy Cyber Monday today, so I will extend that greeting to all of you. That was a new one on me, but thank you for not being shopping online and joining us for this presentation. So you've got me for about 30 minutes or so, and there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. If you put the questions into the Q&A as you go along, then we can get back to them at the end of the presentation. So my name is Dr. Jim Gazzard. I'm Director of Continuing Education at the University of Cambridge Institute of Continuing Education, or we will often refer to it as ICE. What I want to do is just give you a real sense of what studying at Cambridge on a part-time postgraduate basis is like, and how the Institute of Continuing Education fits into that picture, and how we are here to support you to make sure you use your time and your intellectual endeavors as effectively as possible. See if we can get the presentation to move. Right. So, as Louisa said, there's a number of sessions this week to introduce you to part-time postgraduate learning at Cambridge, to certain specific MST courses that we run. And again, just to give you this general sense of who we are and how postgraduate learning works at Cambridge. And so I think the key question that I'm going to try to answer is how do we make this complicated, ancient, 800-year-old university that is primarily here to do amazing research and to teach students on a full-time basis, how do we make that accessible? And how do we make it work for adult learners studying on a part-time basis? And I think our predecessors really thought carefully about this, and to make sure that the university works and makes sense for people studying who are not based in Cambridge all of the time, people studying alongside work, alongside families, and all of the other commitments that we all have. And they thought about how they would create something that was purpose built, purpose designed, enabling adults to get the best from the University of Cambridge. And they thought about how would an institute of continuing education work in terms of making sure that we learn and belong as a community of peers. This isn't didactic, lecture-based learning. This is learning together with Cambridge academics, with all of the resources of the university, but learning as peers. How can we do this flexibly and intentionally? You know, our time and our money is precious. And how can we really tailor learning so it meets the endpoints, the objectives of adult learners? How do we bring to bear and provide access to all of the amazing learning resources that the Collegiate University of Cambridge has, from its data and information and systems and libraries and manuscripts and art and museums? It is a truly amazing environment, but it can be confusing and complicated. So the Institute of Continuing Education is here to make this much more accessible and workable. And really, I guess we're here to pathfind, to make sure this complex university is here and works for you and maximizes your study outputs. So that's what the Institute is trying to do. But really, I suppose it's trying to convene an amazing group of learners from the east of England, across the UK, internationally. People who are committed to upskilling, relearning, unlearning, and changing their skills and knowledge across their lifetime, and making sure that their approaches are contemporary and evidence-based and research informed. And what we have at any one time in any one year, somewhere in the region of maybe 500 to 600 MST students, Masters of Studies students. And when you talk to them, as I've done over the past 7 or 8 years, whilst I've been the director of education, you know, I've tried to create a kind of case study or examples of students, typical students. And I find that really difficult. So what I was just going to say to you is that some of the messages I hear from our students, postgraduate level, is they don't define themselves as students. Often when you would talk to full-time 18, 19-year-old students, they would say, I am a student. Whereas our learners talk about themselves as professionals, as parents, carers, volunteers. Learning is what they do, but it doesn't necessarily define them. They have a variety of learning experiences. Some of you will be here with PhDs, some of you will be here as doctors of medicine, some of you will be here with no qualifications. And that's what the Institute is about, is bringing peers together and really looking forward to learning and being honest and open about what stage of learning you're at. There's something called the non-standard route to entry, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But if you don't have a degree, it doesn't necessarily stop you from studying at a postgraduate level. But what all of our learners, I think, have in common is that they're really clear about why they're learning. It might be to get the promotion that they're looking for. It might be to change career. It might be because they're at a watershed, they're retiring, they've been made redundant. There's been some other circumstance in their lives that has meant that they're reflecting on their futures. And when you speak to our students, they're very clear about why it is they're studying AI or literature or history or whatever it may be. They bring an amazing range of perspectives on life, work, nationality, life stage, language. What we want is to bring whole people to our classrooms, not to put this veneer on of I'm studying at Cambridge, but to put this openness around their experience, your experience of life, learning, and everything else. So we want those perspectives. And there's a quote here from Gandhi about, live as if you were to die tomorrow and learn as if you were to live forever. I was going to put something on the side about the age of our learners, but I thought this quote was more apt. There's something about the urgency of learning, but there's also something about the richness of learning. Yes, our students on professional courses tend to be in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and on our liberal arts courses, perhaps in their 30s, 40s, 50s. But I know it's a cliche, but age is a number. Learning is something that we do across lifetimes, and I think that's the richness of our learning communities are that they're varied, and it's intergenerational, international, and valued. So normally our postgraduate learners would have a 2-1 undergraduate degree or the equivalent thereof in a relevant subject area. But as mentioned, there are other routes, this non-standard route, where you may have commensurate professional experience, or you might have a lower classification of degree, but again, experience that has been gained in different ways. And we interview nearly all our students, and we think that's important, not only so we can assess you and where you are with your learning, but really you can assess and evaluate us, and ask for the information, advice, and guidance you need. We want this to be a successful, engaging, enriching experience for you. And it's about two parties engaged, learning together. The way that we teach and learn at Cambridge does require excellent English, because it's discursive. No one would ever point to you in our class and say, well, what do you think about that? But the tutors will gather your opinions. It's about having critical views. I think when we live in this world where we're trying to define really complicated things, trying to think about what truth is, trying to think about which types of evidence are more valuable than others, having that capacity to exchange in written English, spoken English is really crucial. But again, our classrooms are varied. This isn't about having a great degree or PhD necessarily. This is about the will to learn, the interest in learning. Learning as a part-time student, as an adult, it's tough. We've got things, we've got work, life that wraps around all of that. And we just need to know that our students are ready and have the capacity to learn. The students, our learners, are at the heart of all of this. But our teachers, our faculty, they're there as peers as well. Again, this isn't this parent-child relationship. This isn't school learning. This is learning in continuing education. And so we're traveling together. I mean, one of the great secrets of learning in continuing education, teaching in continuing education, is that the teachers learn as much because you're here to challenge us, to bring your perspectives and experiences. So we're guides, we're mentors. Yes, we will teach and bring theories and constructs and ideas, but we're looking for you to explore those and challenge those. The academics might well be Cambridge academics, researchers, academics from elsewhere, other universities, colleges, expert practitioners, people who are there solving problems in medicine or coaching or international relations or whatever it may be. And often you'll find some of our tutors are actually alumni of the program. We really believe in this sort of circle where you start out as novice and you progress to expert. I think having that lived experience of what it's like to learn at Cambridge could often give the teachers an understanding of the challenges you face. So I can't emphasize enough what we're trying to do at the Institute is create this community of lifelong learning where you as a student are the focal point of this. We need to listen and learn about your objectives and then make sure that the faculty meet those objectives. And I hope the way that we do it is a very open and honest way. We'll talk to you in the admissions process about the value of what we do and also its limitation. We'll talk to you about the precious commodity of time. You will have to, in a really rigorous postgraduate environment, it will be weekends and evenings. It will be vacation time, public holidays where you're studying. And we have to value your time, but you also have to know the time that it will take and the challenge and the sacrifice. And also this is Cambridge. We're not in the business of printing degrees. You might not fail, but we will move. You might not complete your degree, but we would move heaven and earth to get that right for you. And also we know that a number of you will be taking postgraduate loans, paying yourself. And we need to make sure that we are supporting you and that we get this right for you. So this isn't about student as consumer. This is about student as partner with us in Cambridge, a partner in learning, and hopefully this sort of voyage through this postgraduate experience will be something that you perhaps haven't seen in universities before or schools, much more integrated. Another aspect that we talk about a lot at the Institute is thinking about learning in 3 dimensions. We get quite frustrated with certain providers thinking that it's about skills and qualifications. Well, of course it is. But the truth is that the half-life of skills, the length of time that skills are usable is decreasing rapidly because of technology, AI, change. If all we're teaching is skills to get a qualification, then we're being way too limiting. Learning at this level is about networks, professional networks, friendships, social capital to help you get to access the learning resources that you need, to access across a lifetime the networks that will help you. And I think perhaps more importantly than ever, this is about mental well-being. This is about having a value, a worth, what's called identity capital. So any postgraduate program, it's not just the skills. It's the participation in networks, and it is that identity capital and building confidence and efficacy. The Institute of Continuing Education really is about partnership, learners, faculty working together. And I put here resilience. It's really, life is so busy. How do we keep moving through these programs? We carry on because we're resilient together. Sometimes an assignment won't have worked out. Sometimes a teaching block won't have been great. But we build back from that around resilience. A crucial part, I think, is the echo chambers that we hear today and see on certain newspapers and television programs. What learning is about is to challenge your understanding and learning to disagree with one another, but to do that with respect, with professional courtesy, to leave the teaching room with more understanding about the peers in that room. And I think with everything that's going on at the moment, that's crucial. I think one of the toughest things as we go further into life is to accept that we often get things wrong and that we don't know things, or that the things that we thought we knew aren't correct. So that tolerance of ambiguity is crucial. And growing, a lot of our learners say the most precious thing around learning at Cambridge is about, yes, learning to ask questions, but also realizing what you don't know and how then you can develop as a lifelong learner. So this is way, way more than skills and qualifications. This is a sort of compact, really, about professional development, personal development, challenge. It's not easy, but it's rewarding, really rewarding. Just a few other things, just to think about the kinds of learning and the kinds of learner you might want to reflect upon. One of the methodologies that we talk about quite a lot is a hypothesis, really. It's not really a theory, but Malcolm Knowles, an educationalist, talked about adults learning in different ways and learning as I've mentioned already, as peers, and being in those classrooms ready to contribute. This isn't us going to be throwing facts out there and filling up sort of empty vessels. That's not what Knowles said. Knowles was talking about whole people, real people, their lives' experiences, their successes, their failures, their questions, their challenges, being in that classroom. And that makes this exciting, because you're learning not only from Cambridge academic, but from the people around you. And it will often be the challenge, the questions that are asked from the people in the classroom that make you stop and think and change your mind or learn in different ways. Another element I wanted to mention, because I think it's crucial, is particularly if you're dealing with Cambridge or Harvard or Oxford or Yale or whatever, is this concept of imposter syndrome. Do you deserve to be here? Are you good enough? And actually, the challenge is not for you to justify that. It's for us to make sure that what we do is welcoming, engaging, and that we learn in safe environments. We're safe to challenge. But if you're thinking, well, maybe I'm not going to apply to Cambridge because I'm not good enough, I left school at 16, or I didn't get a first class degree, talk to us, because often it's the learning baggage of the past that holds us back. We'll be very honest with you about whether Cambridge can help you, support you, and move forward. But, imposter syndrome creeps in as we get older, sometimes when we've been challenged in other ways, if things haven't gone well. And we're here to help and get through all of that. Imposter syndrome is our challenge. It shouldn't be something that our learners worry about. Time is a crucial aspect of part-time learning. One of the things I notice increasingly is part-time learning in universities is done by people studying full-time courses. And you have to study on a Tuesday morning and a Thursday afternoon because you're collecting bits of the full-time course that's being offered. We are a purpose-built university for part-time students. Over the years, we've listened to what part-time students said. And they often say, we want block residential learning because we can take annual leave or get childcare or whatever it is that would allow you to be present. We take a pragmatic approach. Sometimes, hopefully not all of the time, but assessment deadlines get missed. Life gets in the way. Work is busy. There are challenges around health or family. The Institute of Continuing Education is a wearable one, and we've got systems and processes to put in place to help you. Understanding that we're real people and that life is complex. And of course, we've got all of the support resources that you would expect if you need support with disability, if you need support with any learning challenges that you may have. It's our job to help you. And we are fortunate we can bring to bear many support mechanisms. So as mentioned, we're trying to make learning work, create spaces and time, protected time, so you can learn and think. When we set teaching dates, we don't move them unless there's some dreadful thing like a pandemic or the teacher is unwell, but we don't shift them. We tend to learn at MST level residentially, and the learning happens in classes, in workshops, in seminars, in museums, in libraries, but it happens over lunch, coffee, tea, dinners in colleges. And that builds a community, a learning community that lasts beyond the formal course, we hope. So the Master of Studies, the MST, it's a really intellectually rigorous 2-year part-time program that results in a University of Cambridge qualification. It provides access to the learning resources of the collegiate university, as mentioned, for example, the university library, departmental libraries, museums, if they're relevant to your course of study. And it's a matriculated program. So you not only have the departmental expertise of the University of Cambridge, but you will be part of one of 31 colleges, and they will bring their pastoral support, their subject specific expertise, their networks, their alumni, um, as part of your experience at Cambridge. I mean, always, when you think about Cambridge and 800 years of many amazing discoveries, students, really helping to build communities and society. I think one of the key things is that interdisciplinary learning is natural here, because you'll be in college and there'll be a musician, there'll be a genetic engineer, there'll be a civil engineer and a physicist sat together and just listening and learning from one another, um, and really thinking about how disciplines merge together. And that's where new understanding, new knowledge, new thinking happens. And that happens at Cambridge because of the way that it's set up. There are a number of sessions this week that will go into the specific detail of curricula, how teaching happens, how assessment happens across the MST portfolio. Most of our MSTs are in professional or vocational or skilled disciplines. They're listed here. Everything from the ethics and philosophy of artificial intelligence, coaching, genomic medicine, medical education, architecture. So there's a wide range of choices here that may be relevant for you. We have two superb creative writing communities that have been now going for about 10 years, and just watching those students and working with concepts and plot and words and creativity, they are truly amazing programs. And of course, the arts, we are still here fighting with very successful cohorts in history and the history of art as well. We'll get into more detail in different sessions about, as mentioned, those courses specifically. But there's a range here, and you might be sitting there thinking, well, I might be interested in an MBA or a professional program. But as we look to a post, an AI environment, trying to really think about how we'll be creative, how we'll solve new challenges, please do think about creative writing and history of art, because they're looking at the world and trying to provide lenses to look at some of those complex issues, as well as looking at the history and the theory per se. So think about how you want to learn. Is this about specific knowledge and skills acquisition? Or is this about looking to the future of how you can be more creative, more insightful, ask questions that are relevant to work and life? And there's a lot of variety here with different courses that tackle that in different ways. So I hope the Institute can help navigate you through. As an adult learner, somebody learning on a part-time basis, but wanting to extract the very best from a Cambridge experience, an intellectual experience, social experience, networking, and meeting objectives, meeting aspirations as part of your intellectual development, professional progression, whatever that may be. So I hope that the Institute answers those questions. And I think the data we have from students who talk about their successes and their learning demonstrate that. So to conclude, we're a community of learning. I think one of the main things as adults we say is, well, am I going to be the oldest person in that classroom? Am I going to be the person who, you know, hasn't been in study for 15 or 20 years? Am I going to be the person without a degree? Is everybody here going to be from Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard and Stanford? The answer is yes and no. All of the above and none of the above. It is a community of learning that reflects a broader community, people interested in learning. Purpose-built for part-time learners, which is quite unusual. There are different access routes into postgraduate study here. And this is all about empowering your experience with the learning resources of the university and colleges. The teaching faculty are academics and researchers, but often they're practitioners and people who have different insights. One of the real strengths of Cambridge is the convening power of the university to get great teachers in front of you. And those teachers will be facilitators and mentors, not just this didactic encounter. And as mentioned, there's a range of courses for you to engage with. So, Louisa, that's it from me. I realise we're a few minutes over time, but I think we've still got maybe 5-6 minutes for questions.
Absolutely. So if anybody's got any questions, if you want to pop them in the Q&A, and we will start answering them. And in the meantime, I've got one question, Jim, that's come through. Do I stand more of a chance of an offer for an MST if I've studied the pathway?
Oh, so if you've studied the undergraduate pathway at the Institute, the whole point of the selection at MST level is to make sure that this is the right course for you. So someone who's done, for example, the undergraduate certificate, diploma, advanced diploma in creative writing, I would hope that you would be ready to study at level 7 MST, and that you would understand our modalities of studying, and it would be the right place for you. I don't think it certainly doesn't offer a guarantee, but I would hope it means that you could make good decisions and we could make good decisions. So, I'd be cautious to go further than that, but it's all about success at the postgraduate level and whether the level 4, 5, 6 preparation at the Institute has got you to that point.
Great. Thank you very much, Jim. One question regarding, this is more specifically about the history MST course. What is the usual class size for the course? Just trying to get a feel for how personal or interactive the classes might be.
I mean, obviously it varies. And it would normally, all of our MST programs are somewhere between about 15 and 30. Can be a few more with the AI MST. I think the question perhaps is more relevant is how is that then broken down, for example, in creative writing into writing groups or in history into study groups. There needs to be enough people in the group for you to create networks and for people there to be able to support one another. So, none of the MSTs that we offer will be 400 people sat in a lecture theatre with us speaking up to them. It will be somewhere between about 15 and 30 people. Really important to talk to the course director about how they work with students in that regard. How do you work with colleges? How do you work with tutors on the course to make sure you're getting the guidance that you need? Some students say to us, look, just get out of our way. We want to engage with the curriculum. We want to engage with libraries. We want to engage with colleges, and that's fine. Other students will say, I need support about how I'm going to construct that argument, that essay, how the course fits together. So I think all Cambridge courses are personal. You're a name, not a number. But the more important question is how that specific course actually works Does it suit your approach to learning and what you want to achieve from the program? Okay, Louisa, got anything else?
Fantastic. We've got another question coming in. Are there any plans to provide PhD programs beyond the MST level?
Right, I'll be very careful what I say here because I realise we're being recorded. I think plans is too strong a term, but there are certainly discussions about how a doctoral school would work at the Institute of Continuing Education. This will take time to talk through with our parent university and see where we go. But yeah, I think it's a natural extension to where we go. But I will leave my comments there that it's something we're actively looking at.
Fantastic. Another question coming in. Can one study history or creative writing as a second master's coming in from a scientific background?
I mean, personally, I'd positively encourage it. I speak as a molecular biologist in saying that the second master's is a relatively new phenomenon in higher education. But I think to be able to compare and contrast how you learn as an engineer or as a doctor with how you might study philosophy or creative writing or history, that is like rocket fuel. It's different parts of the brain starting to link up and synthesize ideas. The other thing I've said already is that the real turbocharged nature of learning is at the interface of disciplines. So when we see medics trying to write to explain some of the things they've seen with service users and patients, or if we take AI coders actually looking at history and how we got to this point, that's real lifelong learning. So multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. I think as peer learners as well, if you're different from other learners in your group, that's what we're looking for. This word diversity, it's crucial. And what we want are our classroom people speaking to one another in challenging ways, looking at different disciplinary backgrounds, different nationalities, different voices. That's what we're looking for. Right, Louisa, you got any more?
Sorry, just missed to realize I was on mute. Yes, we have quite a few questions. And just to reassure everyone, anything that isn't answered, I'll either answer it online or we will make sure that we address that in the emails. One question regarding colleges. Do you apply to any college as an MST student? So just perhaps explain how the college system works, Jim.
Very good question. So most MSTs will have often 2 or 3 or 4 colleges that they associate with. And the students that I've spoken to will often say, well, I applied to Lucy Cavendish or I applied to Wolfson. Of course, Wolfson is the best college. I speak as a fellow, but and it's great if you get into that college and if it works, fantastic. But what I can tell you is all of the colleges we partner with, we partner for a reason. They're interested in part-time learning. They're interested in how you enrich the voices at that college, how you can provide perhaps networks. If you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, if you're an international relations specialist, you can support the students more broadly in that college. Or you can just attend the college and eat there and row in the boat and do whatever you want to do. But I'd urge everybody to really think about what they want to get from the collegiate side of things. There are rich learning resources there, but you also need to have the time to engage with your college when you're in Cambridge. So think about how you get most from that. Okay, next question.
Fantastic. We've got time for one more. The ICE used to offer, an MST in International Relations. Will you be offering the course again?
So the course still exists, and it's actually, you can access it directly through what's called POLIS, which is the politics and international relations side of Cambridge. So that course exists. It is a brilliant course. And if you look, if you just go to Google and type MST International Relations Cambridge, the page will be there. So it's not one that's offered now through ICE, but it's offered directly through the department, and they do an amazing job with that program.
Fantastic. I think we're pretty much coming to the end of our time. We've had several questions come in regarding payment. So I would like to suggest that there is a video that we have posted on the website that covers funding specifically, and I'm going to add in the chat some links also to resources on our website that will help you. I will also put the link to our inquiries in case any of your questions are not answered. But that pretty much takes us to the end of the session, Jim.
Thank you, Louisa. I mean, can I just add for everybody who's listened, thank you for joining us. I really hope that you'll consider Cambridge, and that you have a real dialogue with us to make sure that we are the right place. The intellectual rigor is here, the resources is here, the community is here, but do challenge us and do make sure that you get what you need from us. I hope you'll join us for the Meet the Tutors session, which will commence in about 10 minutes' time. Louisa, it's a separate Zoom link, I think, isn't it?
It is,
But
yes, it
I
is
just
a
want,
separate link,
yeah,
absolutely. And you can
I
find
just
that
want to say
on...
thank you.
Yeah, go
Thank you
ahead.
to everyone and putting up with my jet lag adult brain. But hopefully we might see you in 10 minutes, and hopefully we might see you in September, October 2024 as an MST student at Cambridge. And good luck if you decide to apply.
Thank you very much.